Hey guys, today in this video we're just going to go over the part 2's of your practice final test. So for question 1 it says the state of Arizona covers about 5 times 10 to the 14th square miles and the state of California covers about 2.5 times 10 to the 17th square miles. We want to know what is the combined area in square miles of both Arizona and California, and we want it in scientific notation. So combined we have to think add. Just remember that we need to put parentheses around each number. So 5 times 10 to the 14th, close it, plus 2.5 times 10 to the 17th, close it. And then we're going to hit the equal button. And when we type that into our calculator, we are going to see 2.505 times 10 to the 17th power. Again, they want it in scientific notation, which this is in scientific notation because of that times 10 to that certain degree. For the next part, it says about how many times bigger. How many times bigger? We have to use the operation of division. Is Arizona compared to California? And we want it in standard form. So we don't want it in the form of times 10 to an exponent. So let's look at our numbers. 17 is a bigger exponent, so that's a larger number. We're going to take that number, 2.5 times 10 to the 17th, close parentheses, hit the divide by button, open parentheses, 5 times 10 to the 14th, close it, and hit enter. In our calculators, we should get 500. Question 2 says, graph line segment EF with coordinates E at -3, -4, and F at 2, 6. So for E, I'm going to start at the origin and I'm going to go over 3, 1, 2, 3, and down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to label that E. And then for F, I'm going over 2, 1, 2, up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And label that point F. It says a line segment, so I want to connect E to F. Okay, so now I need to figure out for part B the length of EF, and I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. So the length of EF, I can't just look at that and count it because it isn't horizontal or vertical. So in order to make it easier to find the distance of E to F, I'm going to create a right triangle. So I'm going to drop a line straight down from F and a line over from E so that it meets at one point. We should notice since those two lines are perpendicular, we have a right angle. If we have a right angle in a triangle, then we could use Pythagorean theorem. So I'm trying to find my E to F, which is my hypotenuse, because it's across from the right angle. And from E to my right angle, I have to count how many units I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing from the right angle to F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have the two legs of a right triangle and I'm looking for the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. My a squared is 5 squared, b squared is 10 squared equals c squared. I'm going to type everything on the left hand side into the calculator at once. So 5 squared plus 10 squared, I should get 125 equals c squared. To get rid of the squared right here, my exponent of 2, I need to take the square root. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. When I type that into my calculator, I get c is equal to 11.18 and a few other numbers, and I want to round to the nearest tenth, so I look at my second number after the decimal point, which is at 8. If it's 5 or more, I up the score, so I have 11.2. And then for part C, which two consecutive integers does the length lie between? Integers, remember, are only positive or negative whole numbers. So 11.2 is going to lie between 11 and 12. Number 3. Find the volume of the cylinder. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So I want to look at my reference sheet and find the word cylinder and then copy down the formula. Once I do so, I should see volume equals pi r squared times h. So now I'm going to look at my picture and locate my radius and my height. From one base to the next is my height. So my height is equal to 10 and my radius is from the center to the outside, which is 4. So for here, I'm just substituting in those numbers. Pi 4 squared times 10. I'm going to type everything on the right-hand side into my calculator, and once I do so, I get 502.6548246. From here, I want to round to the nearest tenth, so again, I look at the second number after the decimal point. Since it's 5 or more, I'm going to make that 6 into a 7. So 502 feet cubed. For number 4, it says solve the following system of equations for x and y algebraically and to show all work. Okay, so let's look at the two equations that are given. 2x plus 3y equals 15. And then I have y equals negative 4x minus 5. You should notice that your y is isolated and it's equal to an expression. So by using substitution, every time I see a y in my original top equation, I'm going to substitute in negative 4x minus 5. So 2x plus 3, I see my y, so I want to substitute in my value for y, which is negative 4x minus 5. And I'm going to continue writing the original rest of that algebraic equation. So from here, now I have my equation in terms of one variable so that I could solve. So I want to complete this equation by first bringing down my 2x and distributing that 3 to everything inside the parentheses. So 3 times a negative 4 is a negative 12x. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 equals 15. On my left-hand side, I want to clean up the equation by combining like terms. A 2x and a negative 12x simplifies to negative 10x minus 15 equals 15. Now I have a two-step equation and I want to solve for x. So I'm going to add over my 15 to isolate the variable. And negative 10x equals 30. To get rid of the negative 10, I want to divide both sides by negative 10. And I'll get x equals negative 3. However, I am not done. I have an x, but I still need my y value. So I'm going to go back to the given equations and use y equals negative 4x minus 5. Y equals negative 4. We just solved for x, which is negative 3 minus 5. Y equals a positive 12 minus 5, so y equals 7. So the solution to that system is x comma y, so negative 3 comma 7. Number 5 says, given the triangle below, find the value of x. So we should notice that all these expressions represents angles within a triangle. And we should know that all our angles add up to 180. So I'm going to create an equation, 2x plus 18 plus 10x plus 8 plus 4x minus 6. I know when I add them all up, they should equal 180. So from here, I want to combine like terms. I have a positive 2x, a positive 10x, and a positive 4x. When I add them all up, it becomes 16x. I want to do the same exact thing for my constants, 18 and 8 and a negative 6. When I add those together, I get a positive 20. And I'm still setting that equal to 180. From here, I have a two-step equation that I'm going to solve by first subtracting the 20 to both sides. And I have 16x equals 160. Divide by 16. And x is equal to 10. Once I have my value for x, now I could substitute it in for whichever angle I'm trying to find. It says find the measure of angle t. We know t is equal to the expression 10x plus 8. We know that x is really equal to 10. So I'm going to substitute that value in, and 10 times 10 is 100 plus 8. T is 108 degrees. Okay, so for 6, we want to use the graph below to answer the following questions. So what type of correlation is represented by the graph? We should remember that we have a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or a no correlation. So let's look at our data or the points on that graph. If you notice that our points from left to right look like they're going in a downwards pattern, right? So if they're going in a downwards pattern, we call that a negative correlation. Remember, your line of best fit wants to go between at least 2 points, and it wants to have data above and below, okay? So it wants to be kind of in the middle. So from here, it says, when x is equal to 6, what is our estimated y value? It looks like it's between 85 and 86, so when it's between 85 and 86, we could just call it 85.5. And then lastly, it says, state any outliers. An outlier is something or a point that lies on the outside of your data set. So my x value is 7, and my y value looks to be about 90. For number 7, we want to, for part A, complete the two-way table. So let's look at this given information right here. We know that 40 plus this number should equal 76. So I'm going to take 76 and minus 40 from it. So that leaves me with 36 here. Let's look at the does not like sports row. So 36 plus 28 should get me my total here. When I add those two together, I get 64. To figure out this missing box, I want to take my total, which was 65, and subtract the 40 from it. So when I take 65 minus 40, I get 25. Now I could go down this column and do 25 plus 28 to get me 53, and the same thing for my totals. I could either go down this column or go across that row and add both to get my totals. Both of them should work out, and when you add them up, you should get 129. So for here, how many total students were surveyed? We look at that bottom right box. So 129 were surveyed. For part C, it says, what is the relative frequency of an 8th grade student who likes sports? So like sports and 8th grade, we're looking at a numerator of 25. So our numerator is 25, and it's 2 all the students surveyed, which was 129. So 25 out of 129.